In the spring of 1977, a committee was appointed to organise the Jubilee celebrations, and a letter setting out the proposals and a request for funds was delivered to every house in the parish. It raised over £250. And Jubilee party invitations were also sent to every child in the parish. The Vicarage Meadow in the centre of the parish, together with the adjacent school, was selected for the celebrations, and during May, the long grass was cut, baled and cleared. The innkeepers of the parish prepared to receive the many revellers and raised their glasses to wish a health unto Her Majesty. The bonfire on the site overlooking the old Wantsum Channel began to take shape as Mike Wilkinson added another load of timber. At Boyden Gate, Dave Hawkes, an ex-naval man, had his family on parade for the raising of the Red Ensign. Throughout the parish, the Jubilee decorations began to appear, ranging from the full treatment to a single flag. In dull, cold weather, the grass in the Vicarage Meadow was cut short, as the committee and helpers began to erect tents and decorations and set out the main arena. Meanwhile, the bonfire continued to grow as surplus trees were removed from the cemetery by Ken Williams and his helpers. The all-important marquee for the bar arrived, and Peter Bushell began to cut the grass even shorter. The arena and side shows were now ready, but the committee became anxious about the deteriorating weather conditions. Meanwhile, on a cold, bleak afternoon, Chislet and Chislet Forestall met for their Jubilee cricket match at Hollow Street. Chislet scored 95 thanks to a fine innings of 56 by Tom Lawrence. Chislet won by 9 runs despite an innings of 26 by Paul Maloney, thanks to Jed Jenkins with 5 wickets for 14 runs. Throughout the Monday, the heavy clouds and strong winds did not present a good prospect for the evening's entertainment. However, by 7 o'clock, the crowds began to assemble, despite the conditions. The 5-a-side football games between Chislet and Howth took place as planned, with Dave Hawkes acting as referee. Very soon the rain began to lash across the arena, but with a cheerful persistence the spectators huddled under umbrellas and stuck it out. And refreshments began to be served despite the bad weather. As the sideshows became busy, the rain eased and more people gathered, determined to enjoy the occasion. The bar tent was a great success, and as the beer flowed, the football matches continued in various team combinations. The Chislet fathers took on the Hoath fathers. And as the girls' mothers got into the act, the weak sunshine brought even more cheer. At sunset, more and more people arrived for the bonfire, which joined the many beacons burning throughout the country after the chain had been started by the Queen at Windsor. Bright sunshine on the Tuesday morning revealed the smouldering remains of the bonfire as the bells in St Mary's Church rang out in celebration of the official Jubilee Day. The first event in the afternoon was the fancy dress parade on the theme of Merry England. It was judged by George and June Hodges, Deputy Mayor and Mayoress of Canterbury for the year, with the help of Kathy Wilkinson. And as the many entries began their parade, it became obvious that judging was going to be very difficult. As the judges deliberated, a second parade was requested before the awards were made, with a wide range of winners from Guy Fawkes to a milkmaid's cow. The bouquets were presented and the chairman thanked all the participants. And the excitement of the day even forced Britannia to heed to the call of nature. For once during the celebrations, the spectators could bask in the sunshine, although the wind was keen with clouds forming on the horizon. And then on to the continuous programme of sporting events and knockout competitions organised especially for the children. The blindfold race for fathers and children resulted in much impatient advice from the youngsters. The dragon, full of sweets, was soon demolished. And as the sports continued, the preparations for the tea were underway at the school. At the conclusion of the events in Vicarage Meadow, the assembled company took up their chairs and in an orderly procession moved across the road to the school for entertainment and the tea. Just before the tea was about to be served, a traditional heavy rain shower forced the retreat into the already overcrowded school. But the event was blessed, for suddenly the rain ceased and the sun came out, as did all the tables and chairs and the hungry children. And so the traditional celebration of an open-air tea, with all the goodies and trimmings, took place to round off what was really the Children's Jubilee Day. And to complete the day, and to remember this Jubilee, every child in the parish was presented with a Silver Jubilee crown. A few days later, the celebrations continued with the school's salute to the Queen in a programme of sketches and dancing. And as the children sang and danced in celebration, they marked the continuity of our heritage, of the monarchy, our way of life, our country, and our parish of Chislet, which has lasted for over 1300 years. On the morning of the wedding of Charles and Diana, the Chislet bell ringers climbed the ancient steps of the church tower and rang a traditional peal to mark the occasion.
Well, it's a special occasion in the castle.
In the afternoon, after the TV coverage of the wedding, the people of Chislet assembled in Chislet Court Meadow, the centre of the parish. The fancy dress parade was an event where the children really took pride of place. But there was one reluctant bridegroom. The large turnout and high standard of imaginative costumes made the judging very difficult. Then it was time for tea, with the novel idea of having pre-packed teas and drinks laid out in the church, with participants entering by one door and leaving by another. The traditional Punch and Judy man was an instant success and seen by many children for the first time.
Oh, look, now there's my favourite. That's the hollyhock. Now, I like hollyhock. It's a good thing. Oh, you are an architect, aren't you? That's the hollyhock, definitely. I know what the trouble is. I know what the trouble is, you see. However hard I try, I can't say elephant. So I have to make this. Elephant, I told you. Every morning I get up in the thing, I try to say elephant. What was I myself? You know any help? You know what that means? That means I can go up and now I've got something very sad to tell you. Do you want to see behind this dance, too? Yeah, look. Do you want to see what's in my other hand?
What's that, Clever? I'm going to ask my wife if I'm clever. My wife, Judy, will you call Judy?
Then on to the sports and a chance for the youngsters to let off steam. Throughout the afternoon, royal wedding crowns were distributed to every child. No children's sports would be complete without a three-legged race. And to complete the day, the Boyden Gate players presented their historical saga of Henpecked and Horsey.
We want to amuse you with our mystery play. I'm here in search of the Holy Ale. Don't you mean Holy Grail? Well, I know what I want too much. Oh, all this land, from Broadstairs to the Medway. It's all in my hand. Quite a handful, you may think. But But I must admit, I wish it was a handful of young princesses.
Oh, hello, King, hello there.
Yes, hello there.
Oh, hello there, hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
I can trace my parents back to two of the hardens. Figure. Push off your old footwork. You know, real beauty, if only she's been shorter. But she seems to have captured this idiot's affection. Now, hello there. Are you thinking of a fan? That I am, noble sir. And I hope you agree. To a little...
Hello.
Here, part of the concert. Another present. Oh, does you right, Timothy? Does you right?
He come here from Denmark in our boating ship.
He did right. Well, I had to... I suppose should keep them at ease. Or a moral I'm sure the WI will be pleased.
Well, so.
Oh, that conservative church houses, and morning dances, and services, and red rugby clubs.
You won't even see some boozer.
They're thinking to shut the brewery. Do away with ship fine ale. What? No more wedding ale? I must see that this plan fails. My dear friend, just thought is done. Our play door set closed. And the great tradition of a mama's clothes. The body is always loose.
And as the last crowns were distributed, the families returned home tired, but with memories of fun and laughter on this happy royal celebration.